So we're going to go ahead and start building the whips for this guy, the double whip arm thing. And just went in and darkened him up a little bit. I think I'm going to make this guy be kind of a dark gray or black. So I just use start by just making a spline, and I'm in the front view here, and I'm going to have these whips kind of come down and curl around his feet. That one didn't quite work out. So I have this one come around the other foot here. So now I'm just going into the verts kind of on the spline, their control points, whatever, and just playing with it, trying to get some nice curves. These are eventually going to become the curves that I repeat a form along to make the whips. So they both come from inside that forearm piece. So I did them in the front view, and now I'm kind of going in and move them around in 3 dimensions. Don't want it to wrap too far around his back leg there. Otherwise he'll end up like tripping himself or something. So just moving these things around. I'm trying to keep in mind that they're going to have some thickness to them once I repeat a shape along them. So again, just moving them out in 3 dimensions here on the second one. And this kind of loop around the other leg. That one got kind of wacky. That's looking pretty good. So I'll make sure it's definitely want to make sure you look at it from different angles, because sometimes it can get kind of wacky. It can look right from one perspective, and then you turn it and it's totally wrong. So this blue one's gonna go on top of the other one here. It's a little bit off the ground. That looks pretty good. So I just went into the front view here, and actually I'll go back to top, and I'm just going to make a cylinder. I'm going to start making the form that's going to be repeated along the whip, kind of like some whatever kind of chain, future robotic chain. So just change the number of sides here. I've learned from doing this kind of thing before what kind of shapes work and what don't. So I'm basically going to make I don't know, something with probably some spikes coming out of the sides. And then you want to have it taper at the top and bottom, just so the pieces, when they stick together, when they're repeated, that they work well. So just adjusting the form a little bit here, add some detail. Nice thing about this is, you just do it once and it gets repeated all over the place. So I added turbo smooth to it, but it's kind of having some weird smoothing, so I'm going back into the smoothing groups, just adjusting those, and then back in my turbo smooth I'll tell it to pay attention to smoothing groups, so it will change the way it smooths. Just making the spikes a little bit more unique. So it looks like it'll work. So this is the spacing tool here. So yeah, I have my object selected, and then I just click that, and then I click the spline and tell it how many times to repeat here, and tell it to follow the spline. So as you can see, it follows along there. So I'm just lowering or increasing the spacing here. So I got a instant whip. So you can see it's not the right direction here, so I just go in and move it, you know. Just kind of adjusting things to get the whips just the way I want them here. Back to perspective view, back to front. Looking pretty cool. And notice that one of my legs is kind of below the plane compared to the other one. So just moving it down so that when we export it, it won't be floating above the ground at all. Save file, always save often. So now I'm getting things ready to export here. So basically everything that I think is going to be on the same material, and I'm going to use a program called Hypershot. When I export everything, I think it's going to be the same material. I assign a material in here in Max, and then so there's groups of materials. So basically, what all I'm doing here is I'm assigning a material, then hiding it, so I know that that's already taken care of, and then I'll make a new material, assign that to all the things I want to share the same material until everything is hidden. So then I know that I've assigned a material to everything. This is pretty cool though, because you can kind of see how this guy's almost got, he's got these kind of innards, the bones underneath. It's pretty neat. But this is an important part. You need to think about the coloration, how you want this guy to look, and if you think that perhaps you might want a part to be on a different material, it's best just to export it, with a different material from Max, because then when you import it into Hypershot, you can apply materials. Whatever you export with a unique material, you can apply a unique material in Hypershot. So you just need to keep that in mind. And think about, what pieces you're going to want to kind of highlight pieces with, shinier metal or whatever, or with a color. And I was thinking that those fins are going to be kind of a highlight color, so I'm going to want to make sure that those are on a separate material. Just assign the material here to all these, hiding it. My camera ball thing. Gatling guns, some other inner parts here. So you can see how all the similar parts there. I gave the same material. And those little kind of pulley things in the front, or those little wheels, give them a unique material too. The pistons. So you get the idea. There we go, adding the color to the fins. the material to the fins rather. So this is a lot of work, to go through all this modeling. Here I'm just kind of doing these inner parts by bulk now, but it's a lot of work to go through this, but it really does save you a lot of time in the next couple steps. Lets the computer do a lot of the work that you'd have to do by hand. So there I'm going in and deleting my original whip piece, naming it export. And here I go and you export it as an OBJ file, and this is a pretty big file, so it actually just hang in for a minute there. I think it was also trying to recognize all my external drives I have too. So you make sure you click the use materials, create material library stuff when you export it. That way it will remember all the stuff that you just assigned. So now I'm going to go ahead and build that hexagon shield, kind of laser shield thing. So start off making a cylinder, just make it have 6 sides. Bevel in the edges. I generally like working with objects in gray, so I'm just instancing these things. Then once you get going, you can just grab more of them and it goes more quickly. So now I kind of need to go back and delete some to make my shield shape. It's a little too big. Alright, so now I basically just picked one of them, and I'm going in and attaching all these other ones. So now I got them all. They're all part of one thing. Just name it the shield. I'm going to go ahead and place that on here. I was thinking there'd be some shield generator thing on the forearm. Just adjusting where it goes here. Then I'm adding FFD. It's a deform thing, so you go into the control points. You can basically grab the whole model and just kind of push and pull it. It's really nice. I use that quite a bit. So I was thinking the shield would kind of wrap around his forearm a little bit, just make it a little bit more interesting. Just kind of adjusting it to, I'm thinking the camera point of view be about there. So I assign its own unique material, and so I exported one without the shield. Now I'm doing one with the shield. Again, have it remember all your materials. And we're ready to go into Hypershot and render this bad boy out.